p.m. You're welcome to the Diabetes Insight series. This is our sixth episode. It means we've previously had about 5 episodes, and this is the sixth one. At the Diabetes Insight series, we have difficult but necessary conversations around diabetes, and today is going to be a phenomenal one because our speaker is ready and forced to just blow our minds. But before we go into the business of the day, so I'm going to introduce the Diabetes Care Network, after which I'll go on to introduce our speaker. So the vision of TDCN, which is the short form of the Diabetes Care Network, is to bridge the knowledge gap in the effective management of type 2 diabetes in Africa. Now, we do this through our various expressions. We have a support community on WhatsApp that is over 370 members strong, where we carry out regular trainings, daily reminders, and we answer questions on all things diabetes as they appear on the group. We then have what we call the School of Diabetes Mastery, which is our structured diabetes education program. It is our signature course where we hold you by the hand and teach you how to manage diabetes in a way that can lead to the reversal of the disease. We carry out academic research collaborations with institutions. We've had 2 in the UK. We also have what we call the Project DAC. The Project DAC is our community outreach program where we go to schools and communities to educate them on diabetes and then distribute our diabetes care bag. So if you're joining us for the first time, you're welcome to the Diabetes Care Network. Make sure you join the support community so you can always keep in touch with everything we are doing in the network. And you can also visit our seller store. If you check your mails, you can visit our seller stores to see what you can purchase from us. All right, now we go into the agenda or the flow for today's webinar. So right about now, we're going to introduce our speaker, and at 5:10, he's going to take the floor, and the lecture will go on till 5:40 p.m. That's about 30 minutes. Then from 5:40 to 5:50, we'll have the Q&A session and then our closing remarks. So as much as is possible, we're going to keep to time. So right about now, I'm going to be introducing the speaker of the 6th episode of the Diabetes Insight series. Ladies and gentlemen, Afra Adade is a legal advisor and cybersecurity professional with over 14 years of experience helping startups and businesses build brands that are competitive, innovative, and legally compliant. She is the lead partner at Honix and Pride Law Practice, which is a digital law firm in Nigeria where she advises clients on business structuring, technology law, corporate governance, regulatory compliance, intellectual property protection, risk management, and business growth strategies. Beyond her legal career, Afra has personal experience supporting a close family member living with diabetes. That journey has given her valuable insight into the everyday realities of managing the condition and the important role family members play in achieving better health outcomes. In this session, she will share practical, compassionate, and realistic ways children can support their parents beyond simply reminding them to take their medication. Drawing from personal experience and evidence-based practices, she will offer simple strategies that families can apply to encourage healthier habits, strengthen emotional support, and improve the quality of life of loved ones living with diabetes. Without any further ado, let's make welcome Afra Adade as she takes on the stage. Thank you all so much. Thank you, ma'am, for being here.
Thank you. You want me to start right away? Because we still have some minutes before 5:30.
Okay, so if
5:10.
5:10, yeah, so we could wait for another 5 minutes if that's okay by you. so that more
Okay,
people
that's
join.
fine. That's fine.
All
Thank
right.
you. And thank you for that beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me. Can you
Yes,
hear
we
me?
can hear you. Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wona, for that beautiful introduction. Thank you to the Diabetes Care Network team for putting this together. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. Thank you to you who has taken time out of your, busy schedule. This is a Saturday and you took our time to be here. Thank you. I'll go straight to today's conversations with a question. I'll start with a question. When last did you call your parents just to ask how they were feeling? I know that you call them, let's say, especially for parents who have been diagnosed with diabetes, many times you call them to remind them about their medication. You call them to check, okay, do you still go on your appointment? When is your next appointment? Hope you made it, in time for your last appointment. Hope you will make it in time for the next one. When was the last time, beyond asking them about medication, beyond asking them about whether they exercise, whether they ate, when was the last time you actually called to ask them how they were feeling? Mom, dad, or maybe it could be your spouse. How do you really feel? How are you feeling emotionally, mentally, physically? How do you feel? When was the last time you did that? I know that, okay, many of us call, for the numerous reasons I just listed. But how many of you actually call to know exactly how they are feeling? Now, calling them to check on them whether they take their medication is not, it shows support and it should be applauded, but there's so much more you can do beyond just making that call. So how many of you have actually, gone on a walk with your parents instead of just telling them, Mom, Dad, you need to walk more? We do that a lot. It can be so easy being you're not the one that is directly impacted. So it's very easy to dish out advice. You need to eat early, you need to work out more, you need to change your diet. Oh, you're not going on the walk, you're just sitting down. But how many times have you actually on your own gone on that walk with them instead of just reminding them that they should walk more? It is good that you are encouraging them to walk more. You should do more of that. But there is a huge gap between asking someone to go on a walk and you actually going on that walk with them. And that's the gap we're going to be talking about today. And the interesting thing is, between that gap lies how will I say it now? It's between that gap, that is what makes the difference between a parent who is just managing a diabetes diagnosis day to day, just trying to survive, and one who is actually thriving. So there's a huge gap between reminding and participating. There's a huge gap between advising. Advice is good, but there's a better option of actually showing up. Because as I explained earlier, that's where our parents either thrive or they just manage. And as children, sometimes, or as loved ones, people who are close to persons who are dealing with this diagnosis, we should understand that we have so much more power than we realize. Especially for children, you have a very unique opportunity to become true partners, in your parents' journey. So if you have a parent, you have a loved one handling a diabetes diagnosis, it is good to, encourage them. It is good to ask them these questions. But you have a better opportunity to be a true partner with them in that journey. And that's what we are going to be talking about today. When I ask the first question, if you've ever called them to ask about their medication, if it got you thinking, you should really stay, because we have so much more we need to unpack. And I want you to keep an open mind. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just trying to tell you, this you're doing is good, is applaudable, is commendable, but you can even do so much more. And we'll walk that journey together. I will tell you the steps I took and, with my mom and what we were able to achieve. Now, there are two kinds of support. We're talking about support here, that children can give to their parents or their loved ones, that we all can give to our loved ones that are dealing with a health issue like diabetes diagnosis. There are two kinds of support. There's the support that reminds. this support is good. And even for someone like me, I think I'm very good at reminding. I'm like a journal. I want to remind you, have you taken your medication? Hope you took it well. Oh. You know you need to avoid sugar. Don't be taking sugary things. When you wake up in the morning, you need to drink a lot of water. You need to drink warm water. You need to go on your appointment. You're not taking this appointment thing seriously. It is, a lot of us will do that. And it is not bad. It is beautiful. Sometimes our parents or our loved ones who are dealing with this, they have so much more on their mind, and adding this to what they are dealing with is just a lot. It's just a lot, especially for our parents who may not be so tech savvy to start including, technology assisted reminders and all. So it's good that we are there to give them that support, reminding them of their medications, what they should take and what they should not take. But there is also the greater support. That's the support that participates. Instead of that support telling you, don't go and eat fufu, it will just, that's why your sugar level is spiking. That support goes into the kitchen and prepares the meal, the healthy meal. And there's this, I would digress a bit, there's this misconception most of us have. We think that for a meal to be healthy, it has to be boring and it won't be enjoyable. It's not true. With time, with research, you'll be able to get it right. You can get into the kitchen and prepare a healthy meal option, for your parents, instead of criticizing whatsoever they are eating. There's the support that participates. Instead of saying, mom, you need to go on walk. Oh, this one you are just sitting down after eating. You are not burning the sugar. This thing, the glycemic index is this, is that. There's support that says, what? Let's just go and gist now. Let's just go on the walk. We finish eating. Let's just. It doesn't have to look too, serious. When it looks so serious, it becomes a burden. It could just be 10, 15 minutes stroll around the neighborhood. It's better than just sitting down and after a meal. So there's that support that goes on that walk. There's the support that researches at midnight. This one is not easy, especially coming back from work. I believe most of us here, we are engaged. We're either maybe working or schooling. It's not easy. You have a lot of commitments, personal commitments, job commitments, and all of that. But there's also a place for that research at midnight, because that's when you're less busy. That's when you can have a calm mind, to research. So instead of just telling your mother, did you hear that? This Coke, this is what can happen if you take Coke. There's a research that can say, did you know that if you take this drink, it's an alternative to this. It can help if you continue with this, it can reduce your sugar level by so points, maybe over a period of 3 months. If you are thirsty, you can take this. If you feel you need to hydrate, you can take this. That's what that research does. That's the kind of support that participates. It's like you holding their hands and saying, you know what, you are walking this journey, but I will walk this journey with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay, I mean, on this time with so many people are sending me messages that they didn't get the link. I don't know why. Okay, so let me continue. So there's the support that just instead of just saying, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that, you are telling your parents not to eat fufu. And you are sitting down with your family and you are taking how many wraps of fufu in their presence. It's not going to be easy for them, let's face it. So there's that support that participates. I'm not saying that you should automatically just cut off your meals that you enjoy because you want to form solidarity with your parents. But there's the support that adjusts your own diet so that they don't feel alone. It's a journey. I can give you a practical example how you can do this. Let's say you want to eat a certain meal at a certain time of the day. You can make a healthier option for your parents, and there's even nothing wrong with your entire family eating that healthy option. Who told us that we must eat junks and all of that for us to feel good or to be healthy? So there's a support that makes you adjust your own diet to suit their diet so they don't feel alone in that journey. Then there's a support that faces the fear. There's always fear that comes with this kind of diagnosis, a lot of things running through your mind, and I will still get to this later because of probably things that you have heard and all of that. There's sometimes, instead of facing this fear, there's this thing we do. We live in denial and pretend that it's not there. Whether we like it or not, it's there, but you can handle it. And I'm a person of faith, so I would also tell you practical ways you can handle this later. But so there's a kind of support that says, okay, this is it. these are the concerns, things that we should be concerned about. How do we handle this so that this is the likely outcome? How do we avoid this likely outcome? What things do we need to put in place? What can we do better to avoid ending up like this? So that is the kind of support, that faces that fear. So while it is good to remind, it is even better to participate. So the second kind of support is the difference between a parent who manages diabetes and a parent who tries despite it. We don't just want, our loved one to just keep managing. Yesterday was this, so hey, this morning I'm managing. That is not the life that we should be living. In spite of that diagnosis, you can still thrive. You can still live a normal life. You can help your parents, your loved ones achieve that. So the question you should be asking yourself now is, what kind of support will you choose? Will you choose the support that just reminds, like you're an alarm clock, or the one that actively participates to say, we're in this journey together. We'll do this together. These are the things we can do together. So it's something you want to think about. A while back, around 2 a.m., I was wide awake. I was, there's no search I've not done. There's no site I've not entered. There's no conversations that I've not, dug deep into to find out, okay, what is really happening? What can I do? I was wide awake. I was researching meals with low glycemic index. What are the sugar-free snacks? Teas, healthy tea options. Things that in my wildest dream, I never believed that I would ever, have to think about. But I got into it. Why? Because I had a loved one who was going through this journey, and I needed to show, not just supporting with words, that I was on that journey with her. And one of the most important things I learned about this journey is that, the difference between a person who, despite a diabetes diagnosis, is thriving, and one who is just managing, it goes beyond medications. It goes beyond the meals. It goes beyond the doctors and health professionals assisting you. These things are good, and it's advisable you have them. But it comes down to whether there is someone in their corner who decided to show up differently. Now, I'm speaking not from the point of a doctor. Ms. Warner read my profile, and I'm not a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm not in the healthcare field. I'm a lawyer. I'm not a researcher. But the truth is, I think I've done so much more research than I ever envisaged that I would ever do. So I don't know whether I'm qualified to call myself a researcher on this line, but professionally, I'm not a researcher. But I'm just sharing with you my own experience, practical steps I took, things I've seen that actually worked. So when we hear the word diabetes, when we hear the word diabetes, a lot of things come to our minds. Most times, fear. We think of endless medications, sometimes insulin. We think of blood sugar readings going up, fluctuating. We think of, people who say, it's sugar that causes it to stop taking anything that has sugar. We think of cutting off sugar. We think of so many things that one can no longer eat. But the truth is, diabetes goes beyond numbers. It goes beyond just numbers. It goes beyond sugar readings. It's not just a medical condition. It affects every aspect of life. It changes that person. It changes how the person thinks. It changes how the person eats. It changes how the person celebrates. Typically when you're celebrating, how many lumps, things that you would typically take. But it changes that. There's one thing we don't even think of. It changes the emotions. That person is battling with a lot of emotions. Is it my fault? What could I have done to avoid this?
Yeah.
So it changes a lot of things. The person is dealing with a lot of thoughts. It even affects body image. That's also one part that is neglected. So that person is dealing beyond the numbers. We're looking at the numbers. We're looking at the sugar readings. The numbers are high today. We need to beat it down. But it goes beyond that. It affects everything about that person. How the person sleeps, how the person plans, their social life. Unfortunately, especially in a place like, in Nigeria, Africa, a lot of persons, maybe because we don't really have, so much advocacy for this. And I'm thankful to the Diabetes Care Network for spearheading this. There's not a lot of people are not enlightened about this. So you see, typically in an office environment, where they are making lunch available. There hardly would you see an option for people who are dealing with, diabetes and management and all. Most of the times the meals are just, general meals that anybody can just munch on. Nobody actually thinks that, there are people here that may not be able to, take this probably because of one health issue or dieting or the other. It also happens in parties. You hardly see a party where, there are those meal options. So it affects one's social life. It even affects how one envisions their future. Because it takes a lot to get rid of the fear, to say, you know what, I can still live a normal life. I have my future, ahead of me. So I just want you to understand that it goes beyond the numbers. So when you are thinking of your approach, how you can help your loved one, look at it that it goes beyond the medication, it goes beyond the numbers, it goes beyond, the doctors. So for me, I remember when my mom had a diabetes diagnosis. Of course, that fear I talked about, there were a lot of concerns. So we are people of faith in my family, and I know that there are some people here who may share the same faith. But however, we are people of faith, and from an early age, we've always understood that we've been created by God for a purpose. We must fulfill that purpose. Nothing can come in, no diagnosis, nothing can steal it. But even when this thing came in, there were still a lot of concerns. You hear things, a lot of people come in and they tell you their personal experiences. You've also seen things. These people are not lying. They're not trying to instill fear in you. They're actually talking to you from a point of concern. So you've seen this thing. But it takes a lot, for you to understand that the first thing a person who is dealing with this diagnosis needs is not from a pharmacy. It's not medicine. Medicine is good. It's, we thank God. God created medicine and is here to stay. It has helped a lot of people. But the first thing that person needs is hope. You need to address that fear even before you start doing the meal plan, because the way the human body and the mind works, if you take all the medication on earth and you still have that spirit that always expects the worst, you'll be surprised that you're on the same medication with another person and that person is doing better. So sometimes it goes beyond just the body, how the body absorbs, how the body relates to this. Having hope is so important. And so you, as someone who is supporting a loved one, you need to let them understand that they are beyond that diagnosis. So you didn't, as I said earlier, the first medicine the person needs is not from a pharmacy, it is hope. You want to address that fear even before you start researching all the meal plans. You want to remind them that this does not define who they are. You need to pray with them, declare life over them. This is one thing that we got to learn in the School of Diabetes Mastery. There were affirmations and they were really helpful, because when you are dealing with all of this, the mind can be so tricky, and you need to constantly remind yourself that you are beyond this and that this is not the end of it for you. It doesn't matter whether it happens to one person or the other. So you, as someone who is supporting a loved one, even times when they don't feel like there is hope, that is your major job, to remind them that there is hope. Remind them that they are who God says they are, that they are still purposeful, that they are valuable, that there's a reason that they are here, that despite this, they can still thrive and live a normal life. Now, I understand that the diagnosis changes a lot of things, but it doesn't define who that person is. So for my siblings and I, we constantly reminded our mom who she is in Christ Jesus, that she's still valuable. And whether you believe in God or not, there's still a place for positivity. There's still a place for positivity. There's a way the mind works. What you tell your mind, what you tell your body, it reacts to it. So you want to keep being positive. You want to keep instilling hope and faith in that person. Because, as I said earlier, the first medicine a person needs is not from a pharmacy. It is hope. It is that hope that propels them to stand up in the morning and check their readings. It is that hope that helps them to prepare the kind of meals that would help their healing process. It's that hope that makes them stick to their doctor's appointments. So hope for the future, hope to live a beautiful and purposeful life in spite of it all. Now, we also need to know that our words are medicine. I know that sometimes our parents can be very stubborn. For people who have cared for loved ones dealing with one health condition or the other, you'll be asking yourself, don't you even know what the issue is, how serious this thing is. Sometimes they can be very stubborn. They want what you have asked them not to eat. That is the one they want to eat. And sometimes it's so easy to get, pissed at them, especially when in the morning you are having high sugar readings. You shouldn't have eaten that. Your sugar level is high enough. You're not trying enough. I told you yesterday to go for this walk after eating. It's so easy. And, sometimes I wouldn't blame you if you get to that point. But you need to understand that your words are medicine. Instead of saying you shouldn't have eaten that, not say let's figure out what happened. Sometimes when there's a spike, it could just be one thing that the person missed the previous day. It could be that after eating, they didn't exercise, they were too tired and they went to bed. It could be the way that meal was prepared. It could be the time they took that meal. So instead of getting so exasperated and all, why not save that energy to work with that person to figure out what has actually happened? Tomorrow is always another opportunity. You may not be able to get everything right today, but assure that person that tomorrow we'll work on this. What did not work today, we can get it fixed tomorrow. Instead of complaining you are not trying hard enough, why not try to work with that person? Encourage them. Tell them we'll get through this, together. So another important thing is you need to stop following the script. You have to study your parents. We had this experience, and a lot of persons, when there's a diagnosis, people come in, some with good intentions, some with not so good intentions, some purely from a place of concern. They tell you that, don't eat this, this is the best meal, this is this. And they may be right, it worked for them. And because a lot of persons don't even want to spend the time to know what would work for them, for their own parents, they just adopt everything that person has said to them. Now, we need to understand that this does not come in one size. While the medical foundation is non-negotiable, you can't negotiate that, but every other thing you build on top of it must be tailored to that specific person. There may be a meal that has worked for one person that will not work for the other person. Also with medications, for people who are on medications, there may be one medication that is working for Mr. A that is not working for Mr. B. That's why there's always that place for that medical and working with medical professionals. But beyond that, you need to understand that what works for parent A may not work for yours. I remember there was a time there was this hype about wheat. How once you take wheat, it will drop your sugar, level. But with time, people got to find out that it's not true. It doesn't always work for. Maybe it works for some people at a time. I don't know, but it doesn't work for everyone. Another thing we need to understand is research keeps updating. What worked 5 years ago may still be working, but there may be better options now. So why are you sticking with the research of 5 years ago that worked for Papa or Nome, because you don't want to take the time to do research and get something that is tailored made for your parents? So you want to work with health professionals, yes. And then for us, the Diabetes Care Network was very helpful on our journey. We're able to sit with them and see, from observation, we tested, we tried. There were some meals that were highly recommended, and we found out that they were not working. It could have been the way they were processed. It could have been because some of these meals that we buy, let's say, for example, oats flour, some people will tell you that it works, some will say it doesn't work. But if you go and buy the already processed oats that has gone through the 4, 5 stages of processing, definitely would not work. It will lead to a spike because the fiber content has been reduced drastically through processing. But if you get the, raw, I'm trying to remember the exact name now. The one in its raw form, and it is so much better because the fiber content is higher. I'm sure that Ms. Wona will be able to explain that. She's the expert. Is better than the one that has been processed. So sometimes it could be the way it was prepared. Sometimes it may just be that what works for your body may not work for the next person's body. What works for the other person may not work for you. So you need to observe. You watch. You adjust based on what is happening in that person's body. Let's say, for example, you notice that the person's readings are low today. You ask yourself, what did we do yesterday differently? What did we eat? What time did we eat? Did we go on a walk? Could it be the time we slept? Could it be the time this person, woke up? How many bottles of water did the person take? You learn from observing. You get to find out things that work and things that are not working, instead of just copying and pasting what has worked for someone else. Supporting goes beyond copying what has worked for someone else. It's good to learn from other person's experiences, but you also want to find out what is best for your parents or your loved ones. Study them. Don't just use only guidelines. Study them. Become a student of their body. Monitor sugar levels after meals. So at the early stage, of course, you would have to do all of this. But as time progresses, you would know the meals that spike sugar levels. You would know the ones that are best. So you want to monitor, the ones that, okay, these are best for them. This kind of meals are best for them as also points. You watch, how does stress impact this person's sugar readings? How does sleep impact? How does movement affect the readings? What did you eat that you have such high readings today? What did you eat that you have low readings? How was it prepared? How was their sleep? These things, they may not be so easy at the initial stage, but with time, you start developing a pattern. And with time, that pattern becomes your roadmap. So you don't need to start going to check after every meal anymore, because you already know with consistent monitoring that, okay, these are the things that you should expect. If you do this, it will definitely lead to this. So you need to know that the numbers are not there to judge your parents. If you check the numbers are high, they are not there for you to say, this thing is still high again. They are there to teach you so that you establish a pattern, you know what to avoid and know what to go for. You need to be the expert they don't have the energy to be. When I spoke with Ms. Wona at the beginning, I was so sure that there was no way we could take the course. And I was just laughing that, is it my mom that will sit down and start listening to, lectures and all of that? I knew there was no way, but there was something she said. She said she was going to add me to the group so I could be there as a support for my mom, and it was so helpful. She added me to the class. And when my mom couldn't keep up, I did most of the courses, and I was able to break them in bits that, we were able to implement. And she actually implemented them. So now imagine that, I sat down to say, Mom, you are the one that will do it too. I don't have the time. They don't have that bandwidth. Someone is already dealing with a lot. If there's any way you can help to reduce this, I know that we have our lives, we are busy. Of course, you don't have to pause your life because you are helping a loved one. But these things, as little or as heavy as they may seem to be, they go a long way, in helping our loved ones. So you do the research, you want to know the safe sugar readings, the best food choices based on that person's body, how does the body respond, what's the glycemic response, what are the likely complications, how do we manage this lifestyle. Living with any ailment is already very exhausting. The person is going through the person is processing a lot physically, mentally, and all of that. And you don't need to add this. So if there is a way you can become the expert for them, perfect. It will go a long way. But you on your part, while you are being the expert for them, you need to also understand the warning signs. That way you can also, help them understand when these triggers are coming in. Sometimes, this knowledge, sometimes it is free. It wouldn't really cost you much, but it can save, your loved one's life. You want to know what are the things I'm looking out for when the blood sugar is too low. What are the red flags to show to me that the blood sugar is high? So you need to know these things so that you can be a strong support even for your loved one. And most importantly, you need to help them enjoy food again, even from a distance. Now, I know that not everyone is with their parents. We may be in different cities and all of that, so you will not always be there physically to get into the kitchen and to make their meals. But understand that the goal is not for you to be in the kitchen. We're not asking you to automatically become their cook, but you want to make sure that they are not alone in figuring out the best meals, or how to eat. So you can research instead of just saying, mommy, you need to eat food with vegetables, so you need lots of vegetables. You can actually send her a recipe. Do you know that if you use scent leaf to make porridge, to make this, it can actually help? Specific recipes, give them options. You can do this instead of this. Sometimes I've had to buy things online, to be delivered to her, not because I know that, first of all, she may not even have that strength or the energy to start sourcing for these items. And even beyond that, she may not even know where to source them, from. But so you can also do that. If you're not in the same city as your parents, you can help them shop online. There are lots of healthy tea options you can get online, healthy meal options you can get online. Do your research, know what works best for them, talk to your healthcare professionals, and you can help them shop and deliver to them. Because you may not be around, you may need to connect them with someone who can help. It could be a sibling, it could be a neighbor, it could be a church member, someone who can give them that support, physically in your absence. Involve professionals, nutritionists, dietitians, pharmacists, people who specialize in managing this. You can build a food log. I had to do this. If you don't want to use sophisticated technology, it could be on WhatsApp. It could even be in a notebook. So that way you are able to track what works, what does not work. Because what most of us do, we just track the sugar readings in the notebook. Beyond tracking the sugar readings, track your food log. So that way you are able to know, because it affects that sugar reading. You are able to know what is working and what is not working. If you're not there, you can check in around meal times. How do you feel today? What did you eat? You are not checking in just to probably chastise them for not eating at the right time. You just want to know that, you just want them to know that you are there. You are in this, journey with them. Then you need to stop sharing from the sidelines. You need to get on the field. So I will tell you what sharing from the sidelines means. You sort of saying, go for a walk. You can go on the walk with them. Instead of you eating how many lumps of apple while you are giving them vegetables and salad, and you are telling them it's for healthy lifestyle, you can adjust your diet alongside theirs. You don't just know the appointment. You have an appointment tomorrow, make sure you go. Sometimes you can go with them. Sometimes you can call them. Okay, are you going today? Do you have concerns? Are there things you like to discuss? Oh, I think you should discuss this with your healthcare professional. After they come back, how did it go? Where your concerns are laid, where your fears are laid. Those are things that show that you are fully in it with them. And most importantly, participation does not require proximity. Proximity is very important, but what is more important is intentionality. I've seen people go on virtual walks. I've never done that, but I've seen people go on virtual walks. They call their parents, and this person is walking and tracking their steps. This other one is doing the same thing. I've never done that, but if you're not in proximity with your parents, I don't think it's a bad option. It requires intentionality. You can make dietary changes with them so they don't feel alone. As I said, they like call before and after the appointment, even a voice note, on days where things are tough. There are so many versions of support. There's no higher version, there's no less version, but you need to know that you need to show them that there's what we call pity and there's what we call empathy. I think empathy is a form of your participating. You feel what that person feels. So it's not just, just feel sorry for this woman. She can't even, you are there. I'm on this journey with you and participating in it with you, and it will go a long way. You also want to build a team around them. You make sure that they are never left alone. If they are healthcare professionals, faith community, family and friends, support group. Then you keep watching long, even after everyone moves on. Sometimes when a diagnosis comes in, you see a lot of people rally around to show support. They give information, solicited and unsolicited. But after a couple of weeks or months, it dies down. And of course, you don't blame them. Everyone lives busy lives. They go on, they move on with their lives. And many times, that's where that person starts relapsing. So life gets busy, attention drifts to something else. And that's where, you see that person is relapsing. So beyond that, you as a solid support system for your parents, you want to stay in the loop, for appointments. You notice if there are changes around them, even when everyone else has gone and the crowd has died down, you want to continually remain there, for them. There's something our parents hate. They hate it when you are hovering, and nobody wants to feel like a patient in their own home. So while you are applying this, you are showing them concern. You need to be able to draw the line so it doesn't seem like you are putting them in their own home. You should stay close enough to catch, when they miss things, maybe when they're tired, when they're overwhelmed, they are just simply pushing through. You have to stay close enough, but not too close that you are choking them or policing them. So it's for you to sit down and ask yourself, based on, we all react differently. What one parent A may see as normal may feel like policing to parents B. So understand the person you are dealing with and ask yourself, what is the best way I can stay close enough without choking this person, without policing this person? This is the kind of watching that saves lives. And then finally, you don't have to do it all. You can make a phone call. You can always do something daily. You can make a phone call. You can learn something new. You can send a meal or grocery delivery. You can cook together, go on walks together, attend appointments, pray with them, send encouraging voice notes. The goal is presence. You want to show that you are always there. It must not be perfect, but you just want to show that I'm here for you. I'm on this journey with you. Because the greatest gift we can give our parents is not just a reminder. It is our presence. We always throw the word love around, but we all know that love is practical. Love gives hope when there is fear. Love is about partnership instead of policing. It's about walking that journey with that person and reminding them that they are not alone. So having said all of this, I started with a question at the beginning. I asked how many of us have ever had to call our loved ones, our parents, to not just to genuinely show concern, ask them how they are doing, not to start asking them, have you taken your medication today? And I also asked, beyond these questions, how many of us have actually said, let me go on a walk with you? So I'll leave you with this. Having said all of this, how many of us are actually going to go home today, or those of us that are already home, and implement this, do something different with our parents, participate instead of just reminding them, because this is where it actually starts. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen.
Oh my God. Who else was just nodding their head like me? Can you hear me? Oh my God. This was amazing. Like I thought this webinar was for me. As it is now, after this call, I'm going to call my mom because there's something you said. You said keep watching long after everyone moves on in order to stop relapse. And that is so true. You might feel that it even happened to me. My mom got to a point where she no longer needed medications. She even went to the lab to check her A1C, and it was normal. And the lab scientist told her, why are you bothering checking A1C? You don't have diabetes. So when she gave me that result, I was happy, and I sort of stopped. Is it caring as much? My mother relapsed. we had to work again to that. It was as if we were starting all over again. So this was so good, it was so rich, it was so detailed. Thank you so much. Thank you. Even the chat is funny. Like, thank you. I was typing on my laptop. It says move from pity to empathy, where you participate with them in the journey. So good. Thank you so much. Thank you. So now we move on to questions and answer. I have a question, but I want someone from the audience to ask a question as well. So, question. You can type in the chat, or you can unmute and ask the question. Okay, so I'm just going to start with mine. Mine is, what strategies help you is it manage your emotions or manage your personal stress level as a caregiver when you felt like your mom wasn't in sync with the severity of the disease? Because I know it happens to me where I'll tell my mom something and she will say that somebody in church told her to drink bitter leaf water. And I'm like, what is going on here? So what strategies help sort of put your emotions in check where you don't lash out, and also help to maintain your stress level even as you try to be an effective caregiver?
I think for me, I've been accused of worrying a lot. I will still go back to my faith, and I always put it ahead. I knew that everything is possible with God. So on my own, I was doing my best, but she was still doing, with time. Of course, she was pretty cooperative, though. To be fair, she was pretty cooperative, and she understood. She was ready. You see, some of the classes our one-on-one sessions, she was there. I think for me, what just helped manage that stress was knowing that there's God and this does not define you. That's it. It doesn't define you. It doesn't define her. These two shall pass. Just continue doing what you know how to do. Just try your best, and that was it.
Oh, okay. That's so good, so good. I love what you opened with. The first prescription is not a medication, but hope. That was so good because that was the thought I had when I created the affirmations book. I'm like, the first thing is your mindset to wiring, because even as a caregiver, if you don't possibilities of reversal, you're just running with a defeative mindset. So when you it just blew my mind. I'm like, this is it. Then you said, stop following the script, start studying your parents. And that is what we emphasize when we mention each to your meter. I was like, this is so good, because most times people just copy and paste without actually accepting if this thing works for my mom or my dad or my spouse, because we all react differently to the same stimulant. So here's my question: what was the defining what was the most important decisions you took in order to see a better blood sugar management in your mom? But that would be the second question. So the first question here is, before you became very involved, what was the sugar readings like? And after you became very involved, what were the readings? Was there any improvement? That's number one. Then number two, what was the major defining step you took in seeing that positive trend, even if there was? I don't know if you got my two part questions.
Yeah, it was actually high. So I don't want to disclose numbers, but it was as high as where you are entering what was it? Was it hyperglycemic? Is it hyper something crisis? I can't remember.
Hyperglycemic stage.
Yeah. So I've talked about it, but things that people want to know things that are tangible. Okay, what are the tangible things that you did? You see, those walks after meals helped a lot. Walks after meals helped a lot. The first 10-15 minutes after you eat, those walks helped a lot. Eating, intermittent fasting helps. That also, most importantly, avoiding eating late. It's because sometimes you can eat meals that you think, okay, these are not so bad meals now. I'm not even someone that eats. There are lots of persons, they don't even eat, but at night they come back, maybe they've not eaten the whole day, they come back from work, they eat so very heavy meals by 8, 9, and the next thing you're lying down and you're pressing your phones. So those things can trigger that. So for my mom, she had to cut off late meals, and you worked with us and you saw the progress, and it reduced. We're talking of dropping over 300.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes. So it's over 300 out. So it reduced significantly, very significant. In fact, it's a miracle. Then also, apart from the, working, knowing the meals that work, tracking the meals, even the meals that work, tracking how they affect the sugar readings over time. We also had to do the intermittent fast, monitoring the meal times, not eating late, the walks after meals, and then also, instead of the regular teas, we have these things. God has blessed us with them, and things like cinnamon. See, there's just some things that we have to research. So it doesn't look like I'm telling anybody to go for, but just research, know what works for you. But some of those teas, also help. But most importantly, I think that walk after meals, because it didn't give that the sugar. Is it when the body breaks it down? There's not much time for it to spike. You just burn it off with your walks, and so that helps significantly.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. So my last question for my part, then we can put it out to the group. Would you say registering for the School of Diabetes Mastery was impactful, and would you recommend that caregivers should join or register for such programs?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, as we said, I kept referencing it in my earlier conversation, and it was one of the best decisions that we made. It helped us, and also from that, you are also a person of faith, so you were also able to help us look at this, beyond the meal plans and all of that, with those affirmations, reminding people who they are, that this is beyond them. It was very helpful. We learned a lot. We learned to, okay, this works, this does not work. These are the things we are doing now that are working. These are the things that we can do better. It was a very good decision, and I would advise anybody who is a caregiver to take out time to go through it. It was really loaded, super loaded.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Like I said, this webinar was specifically for me. Thank you. I'm glad you accepted. I'm glad we are all here. So please, we need to take a question from our audience. Any question at all? I'm sure we have a question. Any question before we call it a wrap? You can raise your hand or you can unmute. Tinaye, Mfon, Nana, Sadiq, Esogene, Amponsa. I'm not sure I pronounced that correctly. Question, Rosie, of challenges, but any question? Boliwa, well, any question? Mfon, you're unmuted. Do you have a question?
No question for now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Sorry. I have a question.
Okay.
How did you manage to get your mother to listen to you? Because like you mentioned, these our parents can be very stubborn and they always feel like they know everything. So how were you able to get her to listen to you and actually follow whatever guidance you were giving to her? That's my question.
Honestly, I don't think I got her to listen to me. I think she decided to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much that you can do, but that person, you can't give the person the how will I say? And you can lay hands on them and they get healed. But there's also a place for faith, So that person also has a role to play. I did get her to listen to me. Of course, I did what I needed to do, encourage her, but she made up her mind that she was going to implement, and that was it. So you cannot kill yourself for someone. You do your best and pray that they are something to listen to you. That's it.
Okay. If I may add, yeah, thank you. So if I may add, I think in my own situation, my mom was pretty stubborn as well. But what got her to listen was when she started seeing visible results. So when she implements whatever she's learning outside and her sugar level spikes, and she implements what she tell her, the sugar level drops. All right. So sorry about that. Like I was saying, what made my mom start listening to me was when she started seeing visible improvements in her sugar level, as against the sugar level just shooting up when she does this to do. So sometimes we can pray, and of course God can soften people's hearts. Another time is, most times they just decide on their own. When they decide that I'm ready to beat this disease, it becomes very easy. It makes participation and support very, very easy. So I would encourage you, if a person of faith, pray, and also show them that there's going to be a visible result, that they are going to get better, they are going to feel better. The goal is actually for them to get to a better state of health. So once they start implementing and they start seeing visible changes in their glycemic control, they will get on board as well. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, it's 6 p.m. already. This has been such an enlightening conversation. Thank you so much, Madam Afra, for saying yes. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Thank you for being prompt. God bless you. Like, this is it. This. Thank you so much. I hope we were all blessed as much as I was blessed. This is so good. So thank you so much, ma. All right, people, thank you all for joining. If you're not a member of the Diabetes Care Network support group, please make sure you join. Click the link in your email to join the support community so you can get in touch when we have our free weekly trainings, how to get on the scale of diabetes mastery, etc. Till we come your way again in September, have a beautiful evening.
Thank you.
Bye.